turned inside out were words that I described myself during the Follow Me Bible study that Our Ladies participated in last fall. God began to show me unmistakably that I wasn't following Him until 2003, a long time after I was actually baptized at age 8. My parents would tell you today that I clearly understood the salvation message. I don't remember that. I don't even remember being baptized. And just in case I wasn't cued in, I asked Jesus to come into my heart a few more times after that, just in case. From age 8 until 2003, I zealously followed what I thought was what God wanted me to do, and that was tirelessly work, giving Him my everything, my hands, my feet, my time. He just didn't have my heart. I taught my children to do church. I did a lot at church. I did a lot of good things, but I was the cup that Jesus described, the cup that was clean on the outside yet filthy on the inside. I justified my pride and self-righteousness because, hey, I didn't do a lot of the things that a lot of other people did, so I was okay, right? But years passed and my family knew the difference. They knew I wasn't that fragrant aroma that would draw them to Jesus. And I wasn't, and they didn't. Yet God was pursuing me. He never stopped loving me in His great mercy and love. He kept after me. One morning as I was praying and asking God to change the heart of a friend, I was so clearly impressed. And the words that just burned into my mind and my heart that day were, "Debbie, I really want to change you." But pride reigned and I wasn't changed. Several years later, I was asked to teach a Sunday school class of ladies. I thought I was teaching them, but what was actually happening was that God was impressing and writing His word in my heart and in my mind. And in 2003, I faced a crossroads. There was a line, almost an invisible line drawn in the sand. I knew what His word said now, and I was faced with a choice. Would I follow Him as those walls of pride began to crash around me as what I thought my comfortable little world was always going to be began to crash around me? I crossed the line and I chose to follow Him. And finally, little by little, He began this process of changing the Debbie that He knew needed to be changed all these years. He began to break down those walls of pride, control, self-righteousness, people-pleasing, perfectionism. What freedom there has been since that time to not be bound in those chains. He began that process of cleaning the inside of the cup, the process that was to have started with a salvation experience. And I did not let it happen for 42 years. He began to change the Debbie into a Debbie who went to nursing school because at that time she thought she could never stand to be in a room full of children, into a Debbie who cannot stand to be away from children and wants more than anything for them not to waste 42 years of their lives, but to love and know Jesus every day of their lives. During this study, it became clearer and clearer to me that I wanted to be baptized again. I wanted to publicly declare that the change that was supposed to have taken place at age 8 really didn't take place or even begin to take place until 2003, because it was only then that I gave Him what He ever really wanted from me, and that was my heart. If you told me all those years ago that I would be sitting here today saying these words, I would have said, no way. I'm all right. It's these over here that need to change. But God knew better, and I'm thankful that He brought me here today. During the study, one night I was talking about how God was speaking to me and what was going on in my heart during the study. And someone turned to me and asked me, "Do you think you would have gone to heaven if you had died before 2003? I'd already wondered about that in the days prior, and I said, I don't know. Only Jesus knows. But this one thing I do know. I was blind for a long time, but now I see.